Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Here in front of the Alchemist Guild because I wanted to go through the Alchemist questline, and since this was, I believe, a second crafting job I took with Serenia, at least the early parts are all in the old episodes, buried as, I don't know, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and it's easier to just do it over with another character. Ah, an adventurer, one of my favorite kinds of people. I find your unquenchable thirst for exploration neatly complements the burning hunger for sagacity that marks our dedicated members. Welcome to the Alchemist Guild. Though I hesitate to define alchemy in such narrow terms, our main field of expertise is the concoction of various potions and elixirs. There are salves to treat all manner of affliction, not to mention miraculous libations that enhance the imbiber beyond her natural physical limits. As an adventurer, I'm sure you can appreciate the eminent practical applications of our work. What say you, madame? Care to take up mortar and pestle and join our ranks? Yes, please. Wonderful. Now then, allow me to give you a brief history of the guild before we tackle the official paperwork. Though alchemists are presently known as the quintessential brewers of potions, the profession itself arose from the desire to achieve an as yet unrealized ambition. The original driving purpose behind our art was, and perhaps still is, the discovery of a process which can transform base metals into gold and silver. And the mystical medium thought necessary to effect such a transformation is the Philosopher's Stone, which is itself believed to have Panacean properties and be capable of bestowing eternal life. That sounds like fiction, honestly. Though success yet eludes us, years of endless experimentation towards this golden goal has the initially unintentional consequence of unearthing a wealth of knowledge in the field of alchemical medicine. Regretfully, alchemy's potential to enrich the lives of the masses was first met with a wave of distrust, as if our ability to create helpful compounds was akin to dabbling in back-alley witchcraft. The profession eventually gained credibility in Ul'dah through its integration into traditional medicine by Frontistery, an institution known for producing respected physicians. Once the city's shift in perception became known, budding alchemists wishing to study without fear of persecution journeyed to Ul'dah from every corner of the realm. It was not long before this gathering of inquisitive minds banded together to form the Alchemist Guild. Thus, while our organization is intensely focused on perfecting and sharing the fruit of our research, it is also of paramount importance that we uphold the reputation of alchemy itself as a legitimate discipline. If you would revel in the secrets of our art, then you must be prepared to shoulder the responsibility I have described. Take a moment to dwell on those words before you truly enter the world of alchemy. So out of nonsense they created an actual science, and yeah. Let's see how it goes. Have you arrived at a decision? Are you ready to exult in the art of alchemy and commit to the responsibilities that your involvement entails? Excellent. Then allow me to direct you to our Guildmaster. Gaining his approval is the last test you must pass before becoming a full member of the guild. You will find Guildmaster Zavarian tending to his experiments at his personal workbench. I must warn you, he is a rather intense individual. Pray choose your words with care. Oh yeah. Zavarian. What? What is this time? Ah, you must be the merchant's lackey come to bring me my imp wings. Let's have them then. Not a lackey? An aspiring alchemist, you say? Speak up and pray that I heard you awry. Did that babbling fool Jedrick send you to me? I specifically requested that I be disturbed for nothing less than the coming of a second calamity. We are at 7, right? Do I appear as a kindly mentor to you? My research demands my absolute and undivided attention. Now begin before I am forced to... But wait... Perhaps you can... Yes, you may be the very assistant I require. I have had a change of heart. Congratulations, I approve your application to the guild. It is with great pleasure that I welcome a fellow seeker of knowledge into the fold. We can disperse with the interminable initiation ceremony, yes? Here's your first alembic. Try not to drop it, for there's much work to be done. Yes, much work. Ah, I see you managed to take hold of the alembic without injuring yourself. An auspicious beginning. Let us see if you can continue this trend of unexpected success. For your first lesson, I want you to use your weathered alembic there and make me a bottle of distilled water. Distilled water is simply the end result of purifying a murkier sample of life's most vital element. As such, it provides a perfect introduction to one of alchemy's most fundamental processes. Taking a material and refining it into a purer form. To perform this rudimentary exercise, you shall require a pail of muddy water and a water shard. The impure water can be purchased from the supplier standing near the entrance of a guild. The name momentarily escapes me. Esmanet? Yes, that was it. If it happens that you find this basic task beyond your abilities, then mayhap alchemy is not the discipline for you. Which would be quite upsetting, as I detest the thought of having to select a new assistant. Try not to disappoint me. Open the crafting log. I kept some muddy water from the mining process. And start synthesizing. Basic synthesis. Yes. Your task is to provide me with a bottle of distilled water. Magnificent. Your transformation into an alchemist has begun. Do you understand the liquid treasure you have made? Yet it's still simply water, but now possessed of an almost limitless potential. In a properly distilled state, water provides the base ingredients for all manner of wondrous concoctions. On the other hand, a potion created with impure water is not only unlikely to have the desired effect, it may very well poison the imbiber. Look well upon the substance you have refined. See how crystal clear it has become. Not the most flavorful of libations, but still refreshing to pour over one's head on a stifling summer afternoon. Tell me, how did you feel in the instant of its purification? Such a fine result must have sent thrills of excited satisfaction down your spine. Yes, I know well that sensation. To glean a pristine drop from filthy swell is a miracle born of mortal artifice. Nothing can compare to that rush of triumph in the moment when physical laws bend to one's will. Nothing. The greater your mastery of alchemy, the more ecstatic that feeling becomes. Go, fill your chambers with bottles of distilled water and revel in each success. I return to my experiments. The next you disturb me, I shall expect your skills to be worthy of the Guildmaster's chosen assistant. Next quest is at level 5. I get more muddy water to craft. You attain level 4. I leveled a bit, so level 5 quest. What? What is it now? Guild for the poor? Another accursed love father? Ah, you that waitress insists on dusting my bench, aren't you? No, when... Oh, my new assistant. No, don't bother me with more names. My name my mind shall not be cluttered with trivial details unrelated to alchemical processes. I trust you have busied yourself with a mastery of your discipline. I've scant moments to spare on lessons, but I suppose I must invest a modicum of time in your training if you're to be of any use to me. Let us move on to the second fundamental principle of alchemy. Your understanding of this principle will be best facilitated by creating 3 bottles of antidote. For this task, you must needs acquire the stipulated number of grass vipers, as well as a chunk of rock salt. I believe the guild often has the poisonous snakes in stock, so you need only purchase them from bed suppliers. Yes, as minute. As for the rock salt, I believe she can supply that too, and for a reasonable price. I rather suggest seeing her for all your simple ingredient needs, unless you fancy the idea of scrubbing in the sand to find them yourself. In any case, I'm not terribly concerned with how you procure the materials. What is most important is that you experience this fundamental principle firsthand as you concoct 3 bottles of antidote. Return to me with a bliss of new knowledge stamped upon your features. Okay, need grass vipers. Okay, now antidotes. I have already, from questing and so on, got enough antidotes, but I want to at least craft one of those. One set. Calculations. I need 40. Because I only have 10 and I can do this. Do 2 sets of touch. Have you completed the 3 bottles of antidote that I ask? Gods help you if you have interrupted me for anything less. I have. An excellent result, my precarious protege. I see you have attained the optimum viscosity without clouding the crimson hue. It will be most interesting to see how well these mixtures perform on live test subjects. Well, of course they'll be poisoned, how else would I gauge the efficacy of your work? But never mind that. What have you learned of a second alchemical principle? You have produced a helpful compound by combining otherwise mundane or lethally harmful substances. Has this not expanded your awareness of what is attainable with this profession? Just as it is possible for a medicine to act as a poison in sufficient amounts, so is it possible for a poison to be utilized as a cure. Your successful creation of these antidotes is evidence of this fact. Those without a knowledge of alchemy would spare not a second glance for this venomous grass viper, but mix its poison with the appropriate amount of rock salt, and people will flock to your door to purchase your miraculous remedy. Study, experiment, and revel worth in the most unexpected of places. The desire for sustenance and rest will become a minor annoyance once you have learned the joy of such discoveries. It is time you added this amateur's mortar to your repertoire for alchemical devices. The mortar is often referred as a secondary tool, but used in conjunction with a primary tool such as the alembic. You will soon come to appreciate its value in your work. I foresee a much practical use for your growing skills, my eager apprentice. Now run along and find the use for your new toy. I have further research to conduct. Yes, that's matter. More crafting then. Okay, level 10. Master Severian. What do we need to do next? I remember you faced this time my most helpful assistance, and it is most fortuitous that I do, for some irksome effort I have expended in grooming your budding skills is about to be rewarded. My muling subordinates have requested that I put aside my personal research for a moment or two and shoulder a portion of the guild's workload, even going so far as to force upon me some other alchemist's petty task. What fools to think I am the sort of guildmaster that contributes in such a mundane capacity. If they had wanted an accommodating drudge to head the guild, then they shouldn't have elected me to the post. Gods know, there are others about the frontispiece who would have been better suited to the leadership position. It's times as these that I curse my blood ties to the syndicate. I would personally be content to eschew such tedious duties in favor of my own work. Which of course brings us to this moment. It is with great relief that I entrust this matter of beeswax to you. 12 lumps of beeswax to be precise. Yes, I knew you would prove your worth before long. Now, to work, to work. Beeswax. Need 3 beehives. Beehives. 30. Now, you need to do it once, right? One beehive. Now we can use quick synthesis to make the other 9. Up 12, okay. Up. And Guildmaster. Such splits with my research might progress unhindered by bothersome requests. Speaking of which, have you created a beeswax as I asked? These will never be used for the Sultana's bedchamber candles, but the quality is passable, I suppose. This is indeed a wonderful arrangement. Perhaps I should pass on to you the mantle of Guildmaster in its vexatious entirety. Now, the beeswax you've brought me is, as you must surely realize, the purified form of a substance honeybees used to build their hives. Candles are the obvious use for this refined material, but beeswax may also be used to enhance leather goods or be mixed with dye to create painting supplies. It's not the most difficult material to create, though keeping the quality consistent for such a large batch speaks well of your attention to detail. I had thought to be content with not more than a convenient lackey at hand, but my help with further training... We must somehow supplement your studies, but I'm loath to be parted from my workbench. Thankfully, I'm aware of a perfect solution to this quandary. Tradecraft Lavis. A selection of alchemical odd jobs should be available to you at the Adventurers Guild. Simply speak with the fellow at the desk. Eustace, I think it was? In any case, you should be provided with ample opportunity to practice your discipline and even receive payment while doing so. Remember, your improvement is my utmost concern. Observe. Observe is simply do nothing for a turn. And tricks of a trade, yeah. Hard to explain without having the chance. Sometimes when you craft, you have good or excellent chances when you want to use touch actions, right? And the tricks of a trade just exchanges those times for 20 CP. Anyway, the lave mate gets the quests we seek. You have tradecraft lavers. And here you have all kinds of quests. The rewards are usually pretty mundane, especially here in the early game, there is nothing special to be gained, and usually the rewards are so low that the costs of the crafting materials far exceed the gil you gain. So, yeah. It's just that you do not go completely bankrupt that quickly. Anyway, I must make a cut here until I level further. Okay, I leveled up a bit, and I believe level 15? 15 now, yeah. And makes one too vulnerable. Oh, it's you. Have you not learned to concoct potions in your sleep? Admittedly, the results are not always what one dreamed they would be. Now, might I deduce from your unrequested presence that you deem your skills sufficiently sharpened and seek further instruction? Or do you simply derive some perverted sense of enjoyment from my irritable reaction? Whichever the case may be, alchemy is certainly a discipline for the curious, and the curious of nature. Allow me then to assign you another task. This time I require you to create one potion of intelligence and one of dexterity. I'm at a critical juncture in my research, so I shall dispense with any lengthy explanations. Surely you need not have me list every eye of Newt and fang of bat you need for it at this point in your education. Potion of intelligence, potion of dexterity. So we need rock salt, beastkin blood, and bat fang. Okay. Bat fang. Okay. And potion of dexterity. Good enough. Other potions concocted and bottled. I shall feed no questions or queries until this is done. Yeah, sure. Doesn't matter if it's high quality or not. Considering the lack of guidance on my part, you have done tolerably well. As you have discovered, the main catalyst of a potion of intelligence is the primal essence of life, such as what found in the blood of beastkin, cults and wolves and the like. The effect is diminished should the blood be allowed to clot, but you seem to have avoided that novice mistake. Potions of dexterity, on the other hand, make use of finely ground bat fang. The practice of using the powdered form of fangs, horn, or tusk in the creation of alchemical mixtures is an Eastern technique, but I'm glad to see you have willingly adopted. Either of these concoctions is beyond the skill of most neophyte alchemists. It comes as something of a surprise that my sporadic bouts of instruction are proving so effective. In fact, in celebration of your achievement, it's only fitting that you deliver these triumphs to the guild's customer in person. I shall regretfully remain behind and scorned in my work. Your delivery takes you to the Colosseum, where you should seek a lady by the name of, what was her name? Ah yes, Adara. And pray return to me once your task is complete. Guildmaster just loves piling his workload onto me. I guess that is why he recruited me to begin with, right? Oh, are you from the Alchemist Guild? I thought my order would never arrive. Do you have a potions? Are these the ones I asked for? I don't know, I thought the vials would be more ornate. Well, I must do something to pretty them up before I present them to Franz the Fair. I suppose I should be glad it was you in charge of my request and not the Guildmaster. I mean, one hears stories about the head of the Alchemist Guild. To be honest, I was half expecting the potions to help them foul liquid, if they had anything at all. They say Severian has powerful connections in more guild than he can count, but all he does is waste away at his workbench performing experiments. What kind of research could possibly be so important that he would spend every moment chained to his alchemical devices? But listen to me gossiping away while I have gifts to prepare. I do hope my beloved Franz will be impressed. Franz the Fair, one of the big names in the gladiatorial arena right now. Oh, my loyal assistant, huh? The task done. I'm sure I made not the slightest mention of any task. But now that you mentioned it, I do seem to recall dropping some niggling irritation to your capable hands. And what then has transpired? I see, more concerned with the vessel than the contents, was she? I don't expect much more from those who are not intimately acquainted with alchemy's true beauty. Of course, I'm finding that I can no longer count you among that rabble. Should you continue down this path of mastery, the day might come when you too might join me in the quest for alchemy's ultimate... Well, yes, oh yes, I almost forgot the matter of payment. Now, we both best be returning to our work. Oh, just to mention, I also got a bit of equipment, right? Because no need to run around with level 1 and 5 equipment at this point. It does make a difference in the difficulty of the quests. My reliable assistant, I recognize that look of intense hunger. You wade waist deep in the mire of alchemy. Well, it is that you display such desire, it is that you display such a desire, for I stand ready with a task that will further test and expand your proficiency. I have a request from an Alchemist by the name of, well, I have a request from a certain Alchemist. He requires an alchemist to conduct for him an engraved hard-leather grimoire. But, as is often the case, the matter is not as simple as it first appeared. Julox, one of the materials used in the creation of a tome, will not be found in any Uldan stall. Thus it falls to you to take up botany and gather material yourself, or almost as bothersome, scour the market boards of the Sapphire Avenue Exchange. And as if that endeavor were not already sufficiently laborious, the client also requests that the tome be enhanced with materia. Must I explain materia to you? Very well. Materia is the crystallized essence of a well-used piece of equipment, the physical manifestation of an item's history with its wielder, if you will. It is not well understood exactly how these crystals work, but they have the effect of improving the properties of objects to which they are attached. Don't expect me to provide a lecture on the intricacies of crafting materia. There's a goblin with a bonfire in central Fanalan who is more than willing to babble on about such things. Mutamix? Yes, that was his name. Mutamix. As for the type of materia, the Arcanist was specific in his lack of specificity. Yeah. You're free to experiment with whichever kind you wish. Glorious. Bring the materia-enhanced tome to me once it's complete. Meanwhile, I shall be sifting through my memory for the name of our expectant client. So, that is the engraved. So, hard leather should be buyable, I believe. Durox, he said explicitly not. So, but for an enhanced... An elm lock? And more hard leather. And cotton yarn. And the iron ink I can do myself, provided I have the necessary materials. Remember in these things, not every merchant has the same selection. Okay, let's first begin with iron sand. Excellent. Okay. Okay, this is a gamble now, because I was careless. And if I... Luckily I get everything back. I didn't pay attention on just how big that number up here is. And they wanted materia in that item, so... Nonsense. Never did that, okay. In this account. And let's quickly do that. Why, hello there. I see this time a hand like me. Maybe you're interested in learning how to melt materia together? If so, it'd be my pleasure to teach you. Ready to begin? Good. Now then, there's one thing to keep in mind when melding. Materia slots. Arms and armor each have a number of 3 slots, and this determines how many pieces of materia they can host. Normally, an item cannot host more pieces of materia than it has slots. However, as with most other things in life, there are certain exceptions. But this sort of knowledge is for later down the road. After you've become more experienced, you may want to broach the subject with Master Mutamix. Now off you go and happy melding! Where we get materia melding. Since you're already here, let's broach it with Master Mutamix. Advanced materia melding. Uplender is joiner of materia. Uplender desires to join muchly, yes? Then Mutamix make braincase of Uplender rattle with secret knowings of materia. But first, Uplender must be proving readiness. Uplender shall we do attaching 8 pieces of materia, then let Uplender Mutamix terate tongue flaps again. So first we melt something. Direct hit rate. No. Great. I can actually turn it in. Do it later then. What I wanted to show but couldn't right now. Advanced materia melding allows you to put in more materia when you have slots. But there's a failure rate, and if you fail, the materia is just plain lost and you get nothing out of it. And the higher you go over the number of slots, the lower the chance to succeed goes. I have every confidence in the aptitude for these time-consuming errands. You do recall your task, yes? Yes, I do. You're broke. Not a moment too soon. You may see for yourself the Alchemist's reaction to your undoubtedly fine work. I sent word that he should visit the guild forthwith, thus avoiding the tiresome business of delivery. Great Taliak, is this masterful creation to be my grimoire? And look, it is bound with materia, just as I asked. Would you expect aught less from the assistant to the Guildmaster himself? Now, Alchemist, before you depart, perhaps you might favor the creator of your new tome with an explanation of its nature. The nature of my grimoire? Well, yes, of course. For an Alchemist to weave his spells, he must conjure in his mind the image of distinct mythical diagrams known as arcane geometries. These geometries are inscribed upon the pages of a grimoire, such as the one you constructed at my request. The most important aspect of any grimoire is the quality of the ink used to illustrate its pages. Geometries drawn with ink that is especially conducive to the flow of ether allows the Alchemist to more effectively channel his magical strength. Thus, when one is in need of a new grimoire, one must turn to an expert in the making of this liquid gold, an alchemist, and Taliak Caprice, I was blessed with the attention of a true artist. Should I ever wish to add or to enhance my tome, I know exactly to whom I will turn. Thank you, Master Alchemist. Master Alchemist, now is it? I suppose you must appear so to the uninitiated. For the perspective, though it may be, it's a cause for exaltation. You should cast aside modesty and bask in the glow of your accomplishment. But do not let your ambition wither in the shadow of satisfaction, unless, of course, you wish to remain an assistant forever.